Chris, imagine you go to school and you don't have a place of convenience. You are in the class, you've eaten something, and you have to go or attend to the nature's call, just for you to know that in that school, there isn't any latrine that you can go, but you are supposed to go to the bush and do whatever you are supposed to do there.
The only thing that comes to my mind is in 2025.
Yes, in 2025. And I keep saying that it's happening in a space where ordinarily you wouldn't think that it showed.
You know?
In an urban environment.
Oh, it's even an urban environment.
Of course.
Oh, okay.
It's in an urban environment that you think that, well, since development has been with us in this space, such a school should have a toilet facility that pupils and students can go in times of distress.
And also, it's ironic that they're in classrooms learning, but when they go outside, they're losing their dignity.
It's just painful that this is happening in a space where we are bringing you very shortly. So let's go to Pantang Hospital School, which is in the Greater Accra region, and we understand that the pupil or students there do not have places of convenience. Let's bring you that report filed by our colleague Kennedy Chumesi. Then we will speak to the authorities that be.
Hospital Primary School, where pupils are now compelled to defecate in the open, the result of woefully inadequate toilet facilities. Located within the Lankwantanan Madina municipality in the Greater Accra region, the school has long battled infrastructural neglect, but the current state of its sanitation facilities has plunged school children into an alarming health concern. The school sits on land owned by the Pantang Hospital. Authorities at the school tell ChannelOne News that development efforts have been stalled as the hospital intends to reclaim the land. This impasse has meant that no permanent infrastructure, particularly sanitation facilities, can be erected, leaving the school's future in limbo. During a visit by ChannelOne News, teachers speaking under conditions of anonymity, expressed their frustration and helplessness with rising student numbers and inadequate yet faulty toilet facilities. Students are left with no option but to resort to the bushes.
It's making people do things which they are not supposed to do, like some going to the bush, which is very dangerous.
Is this convenient for you?
I think it's not.
What do you want authorities to do about it for you?
I want them to come and give us toilet facilities.
Senate, Jauna or Bush, any money toilet facility, we students or how been a debro?
Eddie, I remember, bet my yard. No, be a crowd, qua, it be a boy to my cow.
And it's a deben out to catch up by some brand number.
Person boy, no money toilet to my.
Efforts to get school authorities, the District Directorate of the Ghana Education Service, to speak on the issue proved futile. Meanwhile, the government has secured a new land for the relocation and reconstruction of the school. However, the release of funds for construction has stalled, leaving the pupils of Pantang Hospital Primary School trapped in the crisis that continues to deepen by the day. They are calling on authorities to immediately intervene to salvage the situation as students are forced to ease themselves in nearby bushes. Reporting for ChannelOne News, my name is Kennedy Chumesi.
Well, maybe we are sorry we are bringing you this at this time. You may be taking your breakfast, but it's very important that this story is told so that the authorities will see what is happening at that particular school. That is the Pantang Hospital School, and the children know that what is happening there is bad.
Yes.
The school's management
They know.
do not want to speak about this because they are aware of the situation. But there is this think tank, Africa Education Watch, that went round to conduct this research and came out with this damning report or this damning investigation or the findings, and that is what we are exploring here on ChannelOne TV this morning. We have with us the research associate and gender lead for the Africa Education Watch, Sahadatu Ali. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Philip.
I trust you are doing well.
I'm good. Thank you.
How did you come at this story or this information at the Pantang Hospital School?
Okay, so we stumbled on this as part of our review of the medium-term education strategic plan. So we did it for 2018 and then 2021. So we are doing the next phase, which was for 2022 and then 2025. So we sampled 14 districts, 7 endowed and then 7 deprived districts. So amongst the endowed districts was Pantang, which you featured in your report that you just played. So my team there, the team that collected data in Accra, but specifically Pantang district, we visited the school that's in your report, which is Pantang Hospital 2 Basic. Yeah. So in the course of our data collection, we realized that the school has no toilet facilities, and it's not that they have not tried. So what the story is that the land belongs to the hospital. Okay, so the school started as a small school for hospital staffs, but now the school has grown, and then people from the community are also accessing the school. So it has outgrown the capacity, and then the hospital authorities are not allowing the school to expand. That's how come they've given them another land. So the school authorities are not allowed to undertake any projects. So that's how come they don't have a toilet, and they have to go to a nearby bushes. There are farms there, so they go to the farms to defecate, and then the farm owners come to the school to confront the school authorities.
So with this research you conducted, how many pupils or students are in this institution, and did you also engage the management of the school, asking to tell them that you are aware of the issue and whether they've been able to have conversation with the various authorities, i.e. the assembly or the education ministry has been there to expedite actions to get them toilet facility?
Okay, so as part of the data collection, okay, one of the groups we spoke to were the school heads. So the people that head the school. So we spoke to the school heads, both the primary and then the JHS side. And it is because they have engaged the district, the assembly. That's how come they were given that land, which is lying fallow, and they're not using it. So what is left is now is for funds to be made available for them to develop that school. So I can speak on authority that they have contacted the assembly. The assembly is aware of what is going on.
And how many children or pupils are we looking at in that school who are affected by this?
I cannot recall the number of head. But what I can speak to now is that that school is very populated, because they have class sizes as high as 70, 80 in one class.
Wow.
So it's very, very densely populated.
All right, so I just wanted to know, like, how long has this been going on for?
Okay, so when we spoke to the SMC, that's the school management, and then the PTA, they tried to build a toilet. That's 5 years ago. Okay, that's when they faced the resistance from the hospital authorities. So this has been going on for about 5 years. If my engagement with the SMC PTA is something to rely on.
Right.
So what happened is that the SMC chairman indicated that they tried to put up a toilet facility, but the hospital authorities said no, they will not allow them. And it's not just that, they tried to expand the preschool structure. They were prevented from doing that. And when you see that the school is very small, as they narrated, it started as a school for just the hospital staff, and then now the population has grown, but they are not allowed to expand.
Right. Are there policies in place that actually require that all schools should have safe and functional toilets? And if so, what's failing at this point?
Okay. So what we did is that our data collection, we actually measured 17 indicators. Some of them are in the education strategic plan, but for this wash facility, that is water, sanitation, hygiene, that particular indicator is not in the ESP. It's not in the education strategic plan. It is not there. But when you look at our commitment to international benchmarks, okay, schools are required to have wash facilities. It is a basic requirement for schools.
Yeah.
And then to think that during the COVID, okay, efforts to make wash facilities available in schools were revamped, but it looks like after COVID, everything has gone back to how it was. Because apart from the toilet facilities, we try to find out schools that have hand washing. Okay, they are fed in school, the school feeding program. Yeah. And as a basic requirement, students have to wash their hands before they eat. And then when they go to break and then play, and then they need to come to the classroom, they need to wash their hands. But you find out that most of these hand washing facilities have broken down. So they are not in use anymore. In schools where there are even hand washing equipment, you find out that there's no water in the bucket. Or even if there's water, there's no soap. So it looks like we've gone back to pre-COVID conditions.
Right. So, like, when you look at this, what impact does this poor sanitation actually have on the learning outcomes and attendance of students, especially female students?
Okay. So, literature indicates that the absence of wash facilities, specifically menstruation, what do you call it? Like a toilet facility that can cater for the menstrual needs of girls.
Yeah.
Literature indicates that it affects retention, it affects learning outcomes, especially for girls. Yeah. And then literature also shows that girls lose about 20 school days due to the absence of toilet facilities.
Right.
Yeah, for them to change. So, and then specifically, okay, so that pertaining to the data we are speaking to, the research we are speaking to now. So, in schools like Redco, we went to, in the same Lankwantana district, we went to Redco, we went to Lankwantana MA, and then the two Pantang schools, and then WAS. And then when we spoke to the girls, we had focus group discussions with the girls. So you realize that some of the girls, school starts at latest by 8. So they wear their sanitary pad at 8 in the morning. And then some of them have to wait till they go back home at about 3:30 before they can change, which is very risky for their health.
Yeah.
Yes. And then there are instances where girls have to go behind because there's no changing room, they have to go to the back of the toilet, the school toilet, to change, which doesn't give them privacy.
Well, you made mention of WAS, you made mention of Pantang School, and also Redco. Which other schools did you visit?
Okay, so in the Greater Accra region, we went to Gan East and Gan West districts. Yes, so we went to schools like Amasaman MA. We went to Abokobi Primary. We went to what do you call it? Anglican, I think. Yeah, Anglican. the names don't come to me readily.
So the
Yeah,
other schools you visited, what were the issues in these schools, and if you can share with us?
Okay, so it appears that the issues are similar across. The issues are similar across the schools. And then, as you said in your initial statement, for schools in endowed districts, okay, we expect that things are better. But it appears, and then when you take an issue like, aside the wash issue, when you take an issue like a class size, you realize that class sizes in the urban schools are higher. Okay, when you take an issue like ICT, you realize that school in the urban centers that you expect that will have access to ICT labs and then ICT facilities, they do not have.
Right.
So it cuts across all the 7 indicators that we measured.
Wow, interesting. So with this issue, what should be done immediately, i.e., from what you have unearthed, if we should take action so that we are going to protect the children from any communicable disease or whatever health condition they are going to face, what should be done immediately?
Okay, so most of these infrastructural issues in our public basic schools are funding related. Okay, when you look across the years, funding has been declining, especially with the introduction of the free SHS policy. You realize that there's more concentration there. So even though at the primary level there are 6 classes, right? And then at the SHS level there are just 3 classes. So obviously there are going to be more basic school pupils compared to SHS. But you realize that when you look at them, when you do the maths, you realize that there's more money going to SHS than basic school. So that's what is affecting the infrastructure expansion and development at that level. So at EduWatch, our advocacy has been from day one has been to increase funding to basic education. That's the bottom line.
And also with the infrastructure, that is the toilet facility, don't you think that in the interim something must be done, maybe a makeshift structure, or some benevolent individuals can move in to get them some portable structure that they can use for the meantime?
Yes, that's very possible. And at EduWatch, another of our advocacy has been for PTA. The PTA should be allowed, okay, to help the schools. Aside that, we are looking at a model where we replicate the SHS alumni system. Okay, so you you have an alumni at your SHS who go back to school to donate and then embark on projects. So we're looking at how can that be replicated at the basic level, because all of us went to basic schools. Okay, so what can we do to help our basic schools? That's another way we can look at it, whilst we wait for government to undertake their constitutional obligations.
Right. So talking about the government, what role do you think the Ministry of Education should be playing, or say local assemblies, when it comes to issues like this? I know for this particular one, the local assembly have tried to give them a land, but in such situations, which I'm sure you've been unearthing more, what role do you think that the Ministry of Education and the local assembly should be doing?
Okay, so the Ministry of Education, per their mandates, they are in charge of infrastructure development at the schools. So as I said earlier, they just need to make funds available. It is the lack of funds that is stifling infrastructure development at that level. They need to make the funding available. And then you realize that the GET fund was supposed to be channeled to infrastructure development, okay? But you realize that get fund allocations and then disbursements, it has shrunk over the years. Okay, and in the latest budget, we realize that there has been an increased allocation. So now the next step is for the full disbursements. It's not enough to make allocations. Okay, when you allocate, you have to disburse. So they need to make the full disbursement so that that fund will be used to embark on infrastructure development and toilet facilities included. And then we are also looking at our advocacy has also centered on a comprehensive school design policy. Okay, so that there's no school project or school structure that will be put up without an adjoining toilet, without ICT lab. Like, it should be a comprehensive school structure. Okay, so that you don't put up a school without a toilet facility. You don't put up a school without an ICT lab. Because we are now moving towards, our policy direction is moving towards STEM and then ICT and all of that. So it should be a part of the school design. It's not enough to just make funds available to put up just a school structure. But what are the ancillary facilities that come with the school structure? Yeah, we need to pay attention to that.
So it's obvious the Education Ministry, the Ghana Education Service, they are all aware of this.
Yes, yes.
Now, you make mention that the research was conducted in the Gan West, the Lankwantanan, and another...
Gan East?
Gan East as well. Is that only this municipalities you are conducting, or you have some in the middle belt of the country and also in the northern part of the country?
Yeah, so as I stated earlier, we went to 17 districts. Hello, Philip, can you
I'm
hear
listening
me?
to you. I can hear you.
So we went to, we went to 14 districts.
Okay.
Okay. So some of them are in Kwanta South, Zabzugu. We went to Tatali Sanguli. We went to Tai. We went to Bongo. We went to Nabdam. Ejura, Setredumase, Obuase East, Ejusu. And then in the endowed district, we went to Gan East, Adenta, Lejokuku, Gan West, and Lankwantanan.
Wow. And the issues cut across?
They cut across. But what you also find out is that, you know, the historical rural-urban divide, you realize that it is still there. It has not improved.
So it tells us that we have a lot to do in the education space.
Yes, yes. So as part of our advocacy, okay, we are advocating for equity in education spending. Okay, so you pick a school like an urban school. You pick an urban school where they have enough teachers. They have an ICT lab, because some of the schools had an ICT lab. They have functioning computers there. They take ICT lessons, because some of the schools do not take ICT lessons because they do not have the facilities. Okay, and then you go to a deprived region without a toilet facility. The school building is a makeshift structure. They do not have an ICT lab. When you are allocating allocating funds to these two schools, the principle you should do is you should use is equity. Okay, it should be equitable, so that you meet the needs of the schools according to what they need. It shouldn't be like a blanket allocation across board. So we are looking at how the government can implement a policy of equitable education spending in the sector.
Sahara Ali, Research Associate and Gender Lead, Africa Education Watch. We are grateful for your time this morning.
Okay. Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, too.
I'm shocked.
Very shocked.
Because if for nothing at all, having a toilet facility shouldn't be anything difficult.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be so difficult. It shouldn't be so difficult. And you know, everything is ironic because the hospital knows better.
Mm-hmm.
They know.
Yes.
They know what open defecation can cause.
Of course.
And they're watching.
The assembly is aware.
The assembly is aware, and the school knows better too.
The
because
education
the
ministry is aware.
Always puts those children in those classes and teaches them what will happen if you have open defecation. You are teaching them in class. This is what will happen if you practice open defecation. After teaching them, you allow them to defecate openly.
Yes. So they are not practicing what you are preaching.
Exactly. So what's the point of even teaching them? That's my problem. What's the point of teaching them? And if you have dogs, you will know that when dogs are having their time, doing their poo-poo and things, when you look at them, they're shy.
Yes.
Self-esteem issues.
Yes.
So now you are putting children in that situation. You are actually lowering their self-esteem too. This is something a lot of people do not talk about. But you cannot watch someone. It's not comfortable someone watching you just,
Well, if you are just joining us, we are bringing you that sad story from the Pantang Hospital School, where students are engaging in open defecation because they do not have toilet facility. In 21st century, 2025, and there isn't any toilet facility in that institution. This was a research conducted by Africa Education Watch, not only in that school, but other schools across the country. And we are asking one question: what are the authorities doing about these things? Are you aware? If you are not aware, haven't you been told? What are the actions you're supposed to take about to ensure that you are remedying the situation? Or you are waiting for there to be an outbreak, then you drive your V8, you drive your big cars to the schools, or because your children are not attending that school, so they are not citizens of this country. The more reason why we'll be talking about issues on this show every now and then, so you hear. You will see it for yourself and you know where to take the action from. If you are going to a school like Pantang Hospital School in Greater Accra region, what stops you from giving them a toilet facility? What stops you from giving them a toilet facility? And you leave these children, and from the research they are conducting, a classroom has about 70 to 80 pupils or students in that facility, and you sit in your office and you are sitting there quietly and you are not saying anything about it. Well, there may be a banter between the hospital land and the assembly and all that, but somebody has to show working.
Right.
Somebody has to show working. You have to move out of your office, get to the grounds, and get the job done.
It almost feels like a systematic neglect.
Yes, because I'm just shocked.
Yeah, it feels like a systematic neglect because probably because they are not well-to-do in those areas, or maybe their kids are not there. Or let's not talk about it. It's not really important. Or nobody's going to go to Pantang. Nobody's going to visit Pantang now.
And the parents of these children are taxpayers. We are paying taxes, aren't we? You are taxing us from every quarter. You are now going to increase tariffs and all that and all the things. What is needed in this country? You are not doing it because, see, mind you, the privileged will take their schools to the big schools that they will take their children to the big schools that we see. But the people who are underprivileged, who do not have it in the society, cannot pay that big fees. And the primary schools or the government institutions are the schools they resort to. So please, we are on our knees. We are begging you. These institutions, maybe the education minister is not aware of it, as we call him, Uncle Aruna. If you are not aware of it, please get to the Africa Education Watch. Take the report, study the report, go to these schools so that by the time the National Democratic Congress's administration ends, you may have done something. Another government also continues, and we move on and we develop the country. And it's just sad. It's
this government is also trying to take off taxes of menstrual materials like pads and stuff like that to help young girls, and even distribute pads in some schools. But now, if you're going to distribute pads to these schools, what about schools like the one we just saw now? Are they going to use the pad in the open?
This is just sad because
there's a lot of questions that are not connecting.
If we are to talk about this, because see, if I just don't know, let's go for a break. We'll be back with more.